This week on the Game Marks podcast, we choose sides as two of the biggest brands in sports entertainment collide. This week it's Smackdown versus Raw for the PlayStation 2. How will this title from 2004 hold up? Will we play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Plug in, put on those nostalgia goggles because this week's Game Marks podcast starts now.
And now, the Game Marks.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. I am your reigning, defending, Clash at the Feast champion, George Feast.
I don't like the way you lock eyes with me when you say that, but I am the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing WWE Smackdown versus Raw for the PlayStation 2.
And as always, we love to hear from you guys, so please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and make sure to subscribe and rate this podcast wherever you choose to listen, and always join in on the conversation on every single form of social media. We are at Game Marks Pod. Jonathan the Clash, how are you this week, my friend?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Georgie?
I'm doing good. How do you feel about How wrestling? Sticking with it? We changing?
Oh, future endeavor to the max, but I will say I went and I did my little playthrough for YouTube because we weren't able to get a Clash at the Feast in, and I wanted everyone else to experience the misery that I had to experience while playing this game. And the fact that we couldn't play together, I think, made it a lot worse because playing by myself was so bad.
I mean, and that's something that we touch on a lot, is that, you know, you and I are friends, and playing even the best and worst of the games changes the outcome of the game. Like, it could be the worst game ever, but if it's so bad that we laugh the entire time that we're playing, it becomes fun.
Yeah, by myself, there was nothing to laugh at. It was just,
Yeah,
no, I gave up halfway I did the 4-on-4 match, and I gave up halfway through. I was like, no one needs to watch me go through this. See you later.
Yeah, I believe in that. But hey, great news. I listened back to last week's episode, and I think the glitch is gone.
Ooh, finally. Okay. Okay, so maybe one of my theories is correct. All right.
I think you may be onto something here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think we're good. I feel, I've been a little hesitant to record. I've been a little nervous with each episode. I hope it didn't come through. I don't want something bad to happen when we do the episode, so I'm glad that this is finally done and we can move on from it.
Let's move on. And speaking of moving on, Gameboree is going on right now, everybody. So head on over to GameMarksPod.com/donate and see how you could donate today to help two great charities.
Now, we also have our very, very exciting, very, very interactive, very, very popular Discord server. And if you're not on this, I don't know what you're waiting for. Some absolutely incredible content happening in here. We're talking about the next gen of consoles. We're talking about wrestling. We're talking about movies, music, MMA. We started a collection thread where people can share their collections of anything: autographs, figures, gaming paraphernalia, anything.
The occasional 4 a.m. meme from Jamie Patterson always pops me when I wake up in the morning.
Always great. If you're not in that Discord and you love these things and you're listening to this podcast, you should be interested in these things. And it's very easy to join this Discord server. We have two very, very great ways. You can visit our website, GameMarksPod.com/Discord, or you can visit our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GameMarksPod, and click the Discord link. And you will automatically be welcomed with open arms to our Discord channel. Please come and join in on this conversation. Be a part of the Game Marks Pod community.
That's right. It's a little safe place. It's a lot of fun, so join today. But George, we got some gaming news.
We do. Let's talk about it. Are you looking to get a better grip on life? How about your video games? Well, VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers and consoles. Check out their products at vgfgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout. VGF Gamers. Better grip, better style.
All right, so last week you went live during the AEW announcement for AEW Games 1.0. Now, Kenny Omega, dressed as Steve Jobs, showed up on stage 45 minutes late, I believe it was, right? Or was it a full hour?
Yeah, so it was 45 minutes, and then there was like a 2 or 3 minute countdown. So yeah, it was about 45, 50 minutes.
All right, yeah, so that was a little odd to start off. I know I was not in the stream with you, and I kept checking the stream like, what is happening right now? And nothing was happening. But eventually we got it, and this is what we know. Right now, 3 games are announced. We got Double or Nothing Casino. We have General Manager, the mobile game, which is a lot like TEW Wrestling, if you're familiar. It's basically General Manager mode from all those old SmackDown games where you take the reins. You're going to take the reins of the AEW roster, and you're basically going to book your own wrestling fed, which I think people have been clamoring for a while now since it was removed from the WWE games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This was something that in our Twitch chat when we were live streaming it, people were saying they were very excited for. It's like you said, it's something that hasn't been in the games for a while. There have been other, I guess, like sister games that are like very similar and have that, but this looks very unique in its own. Has very, very unique art style, very unique animations. There are things that new features that actually kind of, if you're not into the General Manager style of gameplay, that this may be something that you want to try. I will say this, the only thing that kind of threw me for a loop is that they never talked about price points for any of the games.
Right, I was just thinking that. Like, I will probably get this game, though I'm not the biggest fan of General Manager mode, but then I'm thinking, like, is it going to be a pay-to-play? Is it going to be just, like, $4.99 in the App Store and you have it? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure. But it does look promising. We saw a little snippet of gameplay from the General Manager mode. We're about to jump into talking about the console game. And there was really no visual presentation aside from this, this little casino video of the actual Double or Nothing casino game.
A lot of friends in that video. Let's see,
yeah,
Mr. VSK standing in line. They got to put that handsome face. Put that handsome face front and center.
Yeah. But okay, so let's jump over to the console game now. Some mixed feelings in the gaming community about this game and how it looks in the presentation. But first, let's just talk about the information that they gave us. Kenny Omega confirmed that the game is being developed by Yuke's, the Japanese studio behind almost every WWE console game from the first SmackDown all the way up to 2K19. Now, in addition to that, they have, I don't even know how to describe the legacy behind the man that is signed onto this project. They have the legendary Hideyuki Iwashita, who is the director of No Mercy, and in addition to that, he was the director of Def Jam Vendetta and the producer of Fight for New York.
Ooh, you just named all of our favorite games.
So the fact, hype is an understatement behind this game. Now, in terms of the graphics of the game, there's been some mixed feelings. Some people say it looks very akin to WWE All-Stars. Some say that there was a feeling almost of the Battlegrounds game. The characters aren't larger than life in terms of their stature. Like, everyone feels like they are almost like an over-defined version of themselves. Like, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, who we saw in the trailer, aren't gigantic. Like, they look like them.
It's like an action figure.
Yeah, like the cuts that they have for their muscles and stuff. Like
I would love this game, so I would look ripped.
And it almost it looks like, judging by the little video that we saw, that there's going to be like an intergender where you can have men fighting women, which is great. It's cool. It's something that you haven't been able to do in a wrestling game in a long time, and so being able to have this kind of just, you don't need to have like a special match mode. It's just like you can pick your exhibition game mode and like jump right in and have, Omega versus Shida. Like that's kind of cool.
I'm interested to see if there is a story mode, like a branching story mode like No Mercy, if there's just going to be a career mode. I want to see if this is a game that's going to be like maybe $40-$50, not a full like $60 game price. I want to see if it's a full complete game or if you're just going to get a select roster. There's so many like what ifs and what are they going to do that we just have to wait and see. Personally, I'm excited. While they kind of look like the All-Stars character models, I don't think the game's going to be like All-Stars. There's no going to, like, you're not going to see Chris Jericho do a, what's called a code breaker from like 50 feet in the air. I think the wrestling mechanics are going to stay wrestling mechanics. Like we saw the framework for the Meltzer driver after the commercial and it looked like the Meltzer driver. So what if the characters aren't exactly to scale? This is exactly what I've been talking about the past few weeks. We need a game like this that's like a big like, okay, great. This is something new that's not 2K.
Like, that's something that we were talking about during the live stream, which was the thing that AEW has to do to separate themselves is not be cookie cutter. They have to they have to take what's already been established in wrestling video games and build upon it, but at the same time make it their own. Like, don't break the wheel. Like, don't try to reinvent the wheel here. Like, a wrestling game is a wrestling game, and that's what we want. And we want, a story mode. We want create a wrestler arena or title mode. Like, we want those things, but put a spin on it that makes it unique to the AEW brand.
Right. And I think this is the perfect way to do it. We're just going to just bleed in from those beautiful Ukes games back in the day with from No Mercy and on and I can't wait.
I'm excited. There was one other thing that that we were talking about during the live stream that I wanted to ask you this question as well. So during that 2-second rendering of the Meltzer driver, we hear Excalibur, which got us all talking about who do we think the commentary team's going to be? Because as of late, it's been Excalibur, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. But you've also had Taz in there. You've also had Jericho in there. So do you think it's going to be that current lineup where it's Excalibur, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and then, maybe if Jericho's not in the match, he's in there?
Hey, I mean, in UFC,
he's only in there for like inner circle matches or something. Like,
that would be cool, but you can play as Daniel Cormier in UFC while he's announcing his own fight. So maybe, you never know. But that would be cool to kind of have like a rotation. Definitely, I think it's going to be Excalibur, JR, and Tony Schiavone for sure. But that would be cool to kind of have a rotation. Maybe like Vicky Guerrero's in there for Dark. Maybe Vicky and Taz or something. Like maybe Dark matches would be different than like Dynamite matches.
I think it would be cool to, like you said, to have, maybe that's like one of the mechanics that they could do to separate themselves from the WWE games, where it's not the same commentary team every time. Like, back in the day, in the game that we're going to talk about today, there's 2 different commentary teams because it's 2 different brands.
Right.
So like that would be cool, where, if you pick Dark as the show that you're going to be having your match on, it's the Dark commentary team. If you're on Dynamite, if, depending on who's in the match, I think it would be cool if, you're in a match and you're playing as Brian Cage. If Taz is on commentary talking about how great Brian Cage is.
That would be cool. But also at the same time, that could get outdated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's another feature. Maybe they take a page out of like the NHL, NBA books, where it's live, active roster changes that they can do live updates to, whether it's attires or manager status or announce team where like they just have the ability to like roll out a patch. It's a small patch and it, keeps the game current.
I think for sure they're going to do stuff like that. This is great. This is all like a great step for the future of wrestling games, especially how they're capitalizing on the failures of WWE this year. I wouldn't say Battlegrounds is a failure because it's actually a fun game, but like
it's fun.
The whole 2K20 saga, this is perfect timing. I think as long as they don't rush it and it's a complete game, I personally cannot wait to play as a ton of my friends in a video game because that's freaking awesome. But yeah, let's go. But
enough of that. I think it's time for us to get into the question of the week. Johnny, what do you say?
Let's do it, baby. Game marks while you sit there, hopefully as uncomfortable as you possibly can be. I want you to listen to me. I want you to digest this because I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest. I don't hate you, Marks, but the Game Marks podcast have their own pro wrestling tee store. Brace yourself because the Game Marks podcast are now on Pro Wrestling Tees with original design to let everyone know if you will play it forever or a future endeavor. Head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod and get your tees today. Hey Nick Stapp, how you doing?
All right, so the question of the week is a weekly segment where we go back and forth and ask each other a question. And then we like to hear your answers on any form of social media at GameMarksPod. Last week, it was my question, and I wanted everybody to share their top flea market finds. And boy, oh boy, did we get some awesome answers. You want to kick us off here, Johnny?
Yeah, so Bearded Ginger 92 says, there is a wrestling-themed booth, and I stumbled upon this little gem, my best purchase to date, and it is a WCW woman autograph. That's pretty unique. And now Owen Anderson, Give Me Mountain Dew, says, I found this like 3 years ago and I don't know what happened to it. It's one of those like Hulk Hogan plush buddies, but the head is like plastic.
Oh, see, I thought it was Stretch Armstrong.
No, it's actually like kind of like a claw machine type toy.
Yeah.
I really think I had this as a kid, the Hulk Hogan one.
It looks familiar.
But I don't think it was black and white. I think I had a red and yellow one. I don't know. Maybe it was WWF, not WCW.
You had the Chase.
The Chase variant,
claw game.
Ashes in the Snow says, I got a Mick Foley book at a flea market, and I thought it was awesome. It was his diaries from TNA. When I brought it to him at the meet and greet to sign, he scoffed and asked if I got it at a dollar store. I got kind of embarrassed, but it was funny later.
I mean, at least he's got a sense of humor about his book.
I remember that. I think it was called like Countdown to Lockdown or something. Hey, whatever.
I think that's like one of the only Mick Foley books I haven't read.
Yeah, like I mean, clearly from the sound of it, you don't have to. But this week, it is my turn to ask you a question. So
let's hear it.
As I've recently got into Spider-Man, finally, that you could hear all about that on Clash and Baron this week. I was thinking of other games that feature a superhero or just someone with special abilities, special powers. And George, if George Feast was a featured character in a video game, who would you emulate from a previous game that exists?
So like what would my superpowers be? Or like if I could be like, I'm Wolverine now.
Yes, but I wouldn't go with like a Marvel character. I would go with like a purely video game character.
Purely video game character.
Like, do you want to be Michael from GTA?
No, I know who I want to be. Hold on. So power-wise, story mode doesn't end well for me. But powers-wise, I think it's Cole McGrath from Infamous.
George? That's literally my answer. That's literally my answer. I love that game.
I love that game too. I thought that it was so cool. Even Second Son was a really good game too.
I didn't make it that far.
I just thought, the whole game was fun. The
lightning from your hands. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that, a lot of people die and stuff is not great. So like, I don't want that part, but like the powers wise, like being able to just kind of like skate on power lines and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
very fun mechanics in it. It was a pretty dark game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very dark. But that's weird that we
mean,
both literally have the same answer because
it was he's got good powers.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, okay, that was easy. We throw it to you guys. If you could star in any video game taking the powers of an already existent character, who would it be?
I like that question. That was good. All right, Johnny. This one's going to be a doozy. Are you ready to do our... We're taking the plunge off of the highest high board here, and we're pulling our triple Lindy in this week's deep dive. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready to take the plunge. I'm ready to dive into Smackdown versus Raw.
What's up, Game Marks Podcast? This is Danny Tancredi, and I'm here with my brother Johnny Tancredi, and together we are the Cult Looking Podcast. Each week we bring to you the latest news and reviews on all things baseball collectibles.
From baseball cards and memorabilia to bobbleheads and stadium giveaways, each episode will discuss the newest products to hit the shelves of your local card store and your favorite ballparks around the country.
Be sure to be following us on Instagram at the Cult Looking Podcast and on Twitter at CultLookingBB.
New episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to tune in wherever great podcasts like this one are available.
The Cult Looking Podcast. Don't get caught looking, start collecting.
All right. Smackdown versus Raw. Released November 2nd, 2004 for the PlayStation 2. Developed by Ukes, published by THQ. And man, 2004. What a year for wrestling video games, man.
It was the pinnacle.
You have Backyard Wrestling 2, Kings of Colosseum 2, Showdown Legends of Wrestling, Day of Reckoning, and Survivor Series. Wow.
And yeah, we've played at least 2 of those already in our archives. Check out Day of Reckoning and Survivor Series.
So this is the sequel to Here Comes the Pain, and the game that follows this is SmackDown vs. Raw 2006.
Now, interesting to see how they just completely dropped the SmackDown angle, and they went with SmackDown vs. Raw, which turned out to be like just as big of a series as a SmackDown series. Now, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday that just kind of broke down some of the things in this game from the era, and one of the names apparently thrown around for this was SmackDown You Can't See Me, which I thought would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, they really could have gone in any direction here, but, you know, you have to think of where they are in terms of, you know, what the biggest thing in wrestling is right now. And that brand split with the drafts, that was the whole arc for, you know, years and years. And it went away and it's come back so many times. Like this, you know, this is this, I don't want to use the word staple, but this was the story arc that they used for over a decade.
It's even in this game that the draft is in this game. It's literally SmackDown versus Raw. But I think it's a good pivot, kind of how we pivoted from that. We then went to WWE 12, WWE 13. Then we went to 2K, and now who knows what the world is going to hold for WWE games.
I don't know.
I do like the uniformity, though.
I mean, there's a point where the more realistic that these games got, they needed to have linear titles so that they could be in line with, and I'm going to put this in air quotes so you can see me doing air quotes, with real sports games. So like they started doing the yearly releases with the year in it to, you know, to be in line with a Madden, with an NHL, with a, you know, NBA. That way they can be more taken more seriously, I guess, give them more credibility.
Yeah, but like, I want a wrestling game. I don't want a sports game.
Yeah,
it's not
from
a
a marketing
game.
aspect.
Yeah. But regardless, this game is very similar, very, very similar. Same and almost identical mechanics to Here Comes the Pain. There are a few new things, including pre-match and in-match minigames like a test of strength, a pre-match stare down, a shoving match, a chop battle, and spanking.
Relax. Deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Spanking and a bra and panties match, and if 3 spanks are perfectly timed, a cutscene of the 2 females wrestler kissing is played.
Yeah, maybe the most dated sentence that we have ever said on this podcast, because I mean, this whole game has a lot of cringy is not the right word.
It's
but there's
cringy.
A lot of,
it's cringy.
there's a lot of stuff that happens in the game where you're just like, wow.
Like, yeah,
2004 is a really different time.
And now, look at us. We have Evolution, the pay-per-view, in games where girls could actually wrestle. So what a great step. Literally, it's the evolution of the video game as well. Because
I don't
like, I'm not even cement here. Like, this is just, like you said, just cringy.
No, this is like it's still powdered mix. Like the water hasn't even been added yet. Now, in addition to those pre-match and in-match mini games, there is actually a 5-count rope break, which is cool. We touched upon that. It's not a feature that's like widely used in a lot of video games, but it's here. It's different. It's a new feature. It's, I don't know, something I wish they would bring back. And then you have another new system, which is the clean, neutral, and dirty fight systems, which is pretty much the easiest way I can explain it to you. The clean is if you're reversing someone picking you up, you throw an elbow to their gut, and the dirty reversal is you throw a low blow.
And you also have a meter under your name on top, underneath your finisher bar, where you could store up to 3 finishers. And it's a clean meter and a dirty meter. So if you're neutral, this kind of puts you at a disadvantage, I'd say, because once you're dirty and your clean meter's filled, you get like a kind of, I would say, almost like a boost. And also you can argue with the referee. That'll make your dirty meter, I don't like saying dirty meter, make your dirty meter raise up a little bit. Oh, God.
Now we're getting cement.
One of the other big features in this game was they finally added commentary and voiceovers from the wrestlers themselves in the story mode, which was huge. Now, the commentary isn't full-blown commentary like we see today. There is actually a soundtrack that plays during this game, which is similar to Day of Reckoning, and the commentators just kind of chime in after like big moves or every once in a while.
Yeah, and the thing that I liked about the commentary teams was that they actually talk smack about the other brands, where, you know, you'll be in the middle of the match, you'll hit a big move, like, oh, you're only going to see this kind of action on Raw. You're not going to see anything like that on the other show. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember when it was just like, it wasn't a brand split for the sake of like a draft. Like there was actually like, you know, like a feud.
Yeah, led to I don't know what. Back then, they probably did it at Survivor Series like they do now. There was bragging rights.
No, I thought there was a whole. I thought it was the whole pay-per-view was just bragging rights.
I think that might have been a little later. But let's get into these match types here. So we have a singles match, a tag team match, hardcore match, first blood, cage match, your elimination chamber, Hell in a Cell, last man standing, ladder match. There's also TLC, parking lot brawl, and like we did on stream, the 3 stages of hell. Which
I selfishly wanted it to be the 3 stages of hell from Ready to Rumble.
So I wanted it to be triple cage?
I wanted the triple cage.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll get that in a video game.
Young George, because 2004, I'm not a child, but young George wanted the triple cage.
I still want it in my later, darker years. But let's talk about this parking lot brawl for a bit, because they actually took out the backstage area like we saw in so many other SmackDown games, including Here Comes the Pain, where it was huge. You now just have a parking lot where it resembles the John Cena, Eddie Guerrero parking lot brawl from SmackDown, which is kind of cool. And cars around the ring, there's trucks, there's ambulance, and you could use each one to your advantage, whether it's smacking them into the hood of the car, putting them into the actual front seat of the car and smashing them into the horn. You could break the windshield.
Yeah, it's very violent. Very violent stuff in a video.
You jump off the truck. But I thought the parking lot brawl was pretty cool. And if you noticed while we were playing it, your meter actually goes up a little higher with every move. So these matches are a lot quicker.
Yeah, I was taken back by how quick some of these matches can go, especially if you play very aggressively. Like if you're not, like I remember back when I was playing this game when it first came out, you try to stretch them out so you can try to do like something on each car and like see what every, like special animation is. But when you and I played, and we played a couple of the parking lot brawls, it was just like, I'm going to hit you with this move. I'm going to throw you in the car. I'm going to smash you the car. I'm going to hit you with this move. I'm going to throw you into the big truck. I'm going to throw you off the big truck. I'm going to hit you with my finisher. And that's the match. Like, I was like, oh, I remember these being a lot longer when I was a kid.
Yeah, but still a lot of fun. And like you mentioned while we were playing, this game lacks prompts and lacks meters like there are now. I feel like everything now has a prompt. The OMG moment, the reversals. There was no prompt for anything other than to kick out. It says to button mash. And for submission moves, there's a meter that bounces where you could either escape or reverse. So that's really all you get. Like last man standing match, I chose it because I'm good at the last man standing meters. Today, there was no meter. It was just button mash until you can't button mash anymore. And I feel like I like the meters to an extent. The reversal timing meters, I usually turn off because they're just in your face and they bug me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when they first started doing those pop-ups, it was gigantic and it was huge. And it was just like, okay, this is like covering my wrestler's entire head. But like, nowadays it's just like the little R2 icon, like, press this, press that. Where like, they used to be just like a giant glaring, now is the time to press this button where it like takes up, a third of the screen.
Right. And I also felt like this is the beginning of a new set of grapple dynamics in these games because you're not just grappling someone doing a move. You're not just pressing like right and circle and you're doing a body slam. You're pressing right and circle and you're now in a grapple where you two are in like a collar and elbow tie up and you have to do a move from there, which kind of takes away from any move excitement. It kind of took away from, I would say, like back and forth because we just kept reversing each other. We knew what each other was going to do.
I did like the fact that there are like the 3 grapple types and then moves under each grapple type, which made it so that your character had a more robust and like versatile moveset. Like if you wanted to have like a couple of power moves, a couple of like technical moves, a couple of like, targeting limb, because targeting limbs is not a thing in the game yet. But like if you want to like have a couple of moves where you can like focus on the head for your finisher or the legs for your submission finisher or whatever, like that aspect was cool. And I feel like they kind of trimmed that down over the years. And especially now, you have your strong grapple, your weak grapple, strong strike, weak strike, and like the directions of that. But like this was like your created wrestler got like 16 different grapple moves.
Yeah, it was nuts. But speaking of Create a Wrestler, let's dive into this a little bit. This game featured an all-new Create a Championship mode, which we touched on a few weeks ago, where the player can create and defend the title in their created pay-per-view. Now, this game also includes, obviously, the Create a Wrestler mode from the previous games where the created superstars, movesets, attributes, entrance, and brand can be customized. It's very similar to the Smackdown series, like I would say Here Comes the Pain and on the same Create a Wrestler mode. Now, the Create mode was improved from SmackDown vs. Raw, featuring stables where you could create their entrance as well, and this stemmed from Evolution being in the game.
Yeah, and in addition to that, also redone and back is the pay-per-view mode where you can create your own pay-per-views from 2004 or recreate them, and then you can make your own by booking the matches and the match types with any superstar, legend, or created superstar in the game. And touching back on what Johnny talked about, you can also put your created titles on the line in your new pay-per-views.
Now, something I thought was cool that kind of resembled TV, they use this a lot in the story mode as well as the pay-per-view mode. Before the main event, you would get kind of like a highlight reel of the two superstars that are competing. And it kind of has generic music. It kind of has like a little slow build. It's always the same cutscenes, but I always thought that was kind of cool. And this is also when commentary began to improve and kind of sync up more with the matches and what's actually going on.
It's all about immersion. Like, yeah, it's the same highlight reel. Yeah, it could get repetitive, but 2004. Imagine you're like building your own pay-per-view and all of a sudden you're just like, wait a second, that's my created wrestler. And he's in this like highlight reel package and he's feuding against The Undertaker. Awesome. This is nuts. It's so cool. And again, like we talk about it a lot. And I know I just said it, but I got to say it again. Immersion is the key to a storyline and to replayability. Like, 2004, you're playing this game. That's going to, want to make you make more pay-per-views because now you get to create these awesome storylines and you want to boost people or put people on top that normally wouldn't get top booking because of where they are on the card. Have Charlie Haas go against Triple H in the main event of your pay-per-view. Like, that's great.
Yeah, why not? This is your world and you could do whatever you want in it. There is now a challenge mode that provides gamers an opportunity to challenge themselves at different difficulty levels. And this could put you in memorable matches or situations from the past, and beating these challenges will help unlock alternate attires and arenas.
I remember this. This was like, me and my friend would have like contests about like how far we could get between doing the challenge mode and between doing was it Slobberknocker is the endless one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's unreal.
And that's in there from SmackDown 1.
Yeah, and I remember those game modes gave me like big nostalgia vibes big nostalgia vibes on the from the survival mode in No Mercy.
Yes.
Where,
which same thing. This game also has a shop zone where you could unlock all of the unlockables that you can't get in challenge mode. So if you earn that cash, you can go unlock the legends, the attires, arenas. It's all there. But speaking of the arenas, do we want to hit them with these?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll take these this week, and then we'll talk about the roster a little later. You know what? Here's what we'll do. I'll take the arenas. Then after the arenas, we're going to talk about something else, which is also a shorter list, but it's a great list. But I'll take the arenas and you take the next part.
All right.
So good. The arenas, you have Raw, SmackDown, Heat, Velocity, Vengeance 03, SummerSlam 03, Unforgiven 03, Survivor Series 03, Armageddon 03, Royal Rumble 04, No Way Out 04, WrestleMania 20,
my favorite one,
Backlash 04, Judgment Day 04, and Bad Blood 04.
Another one of my favorites.
Now, next, Johnny's going to take us through, and I'm going to chef kiss this. I don't care if you love it or hate it. Chef kiss. Mwah! This beautiful soundtrack.
This soundtrack, oh man, most of these songs are also in Day of Reckoning, like I said, and I think this was also my introduction to Zebrahead and Breaking Benjamin, and it was all history from there. So we have Power Man 5000 with his hit singles, When Worlds Collide, Power Man 5000, Riot Time, and Last Night on Earth. Now we have Anthrax and Chuck D with Bring the Noise. Showcore.
Yeah, boy.
Showcore with Bone Cracker. I'm the Bone Cracker. Styles of Beyond with Superstars. Now Breaking Benjamin with Polyamorous and Firefly. Oh, two of their best. Now Zebrahead with Alone and Falling Apart. Now I believe that was the old singer before the current singer. Core with The Angle. Swollen Members with Bottom Line, Tantric with Chasing After, and Pre-Thing with Can't Stop. Beautiful. I miss original songs in a game like this.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking we do for this roster here. Do you want to take Raw or SmackDown?
I was always a SmackDown guy, so you could take Raw. I'll take the blue brand.
All right, your Raw superstars are A-Train, Batista, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Christian, Chuck Palumbo, Edge, Garrison Cade, Kane, Matt Hardy, Molly Holly, Randy Orton, Rhino, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin, Stacy Keebler, Tajiri, Triple H, Trish Stratus, and Victoria.
And for the blue, we have Big Show, Booker T, Bubba Ray Dudley, Charlie Haas, Chavo Guerrero, Devon Dudley, Eddie Guerrero, Hardcore Holly, JBL, John Cena, Kurt Angle, Mark Jindrak, Paul Heyman, Rene Dupree, Rey Mysterio, Rico, Rob Van Dam, Sable, Scotty 2 Hotty, Tori Wilson, and The Undertaker.
And your unlockable roster is as follows. You have Andre the Giant, Animal, Bret Hart, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Hawk, Jimmy Snuka, the Legend version of The Undertaker, Mankind, the masked version of Kane, The Rock, and Rowdy Roddy Piper.
This is way before they started loading these games with a ton of legends and unlockables, but pretty good roster to unlock.
I would say, nonetheless, this roster is pretty awesome. But Johnny, why don't you take us through this story mode?
Now, this story mode, for me personally, is extremely nostalgic, and I'll tell you why. There was one party at my uncle's house when I guess when this game came out, I would say like 2004, 2005. My cousin brings it over. Now, my cousin, whose house it was, had a PlayStation 2, but it was very unused, and all they had was like the Powerpuff Girls game. So when my cousin brought over SmackDown vs. Raw, it was like the biggest deal. So the entire party, we stayed in the room playing SmackDown vs. Raw, the story mode specifically, and we did it with Eddie Guerrero all the way to WrestleMania 20, and we beat the first story mode with Eddie Guerrero. And that's where I think those highlight packages resonate the most with me, because I remember them like JBL and Undertaker with Eddie Guerrero. It was just a really cool story, really cool feature. But then after it's over, I'm pretty sure they just ask you to switch brands and you do the exact same stuff on the other brand.
I feel like you've mentioned this story before, whether it was on a past episode or on the live stream. Like, we've talked about this game. I said we've definitely talked about this game before, today, because this is, it's in this SmackDown series. It's in the WWE series. It's, going to use that word again. It's a staple in a lot of people's childhood. So, I agree. Like, they did a great job and made it so that you can create, and this is going to sound super cheesy, that you can like create memories and have memories of, playing this game with family members and relatives, and, have this story to tell later on where you're like, oh, I was at my uncle's house and I played this game.
I remember
we played through the story mode with Eddie Guerrero. Like, it's cool that to have those kinds of memories. And, I am by no means a game developer, but I would imagine that's the end goal, is that you want to make a game that resonates with people,
And now we're like
18 years later.
And now we're like, remember the time we were in Tennessee and we were beating up the giant, what was it? The giant barbecue rib or something, and Jerry Lawler and goddamn 2K20.
Remember that time that we played? So this is, we say that, and now you and I are here like recreating memories from games. Like, oh, remember we played Know Your Role, and we were in that bar, and you threw the table at me, and the table bounced like 14 feet in the air. You remember that?
Yeah. All right, so this story mode, it starts in the locker room. Pretty similar to Day of Reckoning, where you have your title info that tells you how many superstar points you need to challenge for each title. You have Shop Zone, where you could go and unlock certain hidden characters, certain unlockables. You have a memo, which is when Vince McMahon occasionally sends you memos like, hey, you ready to go for this title? You have your attributes, where you can improve your superstar. Now, this is something you pointed out in Clash at the Feast. When you're on your roster and you're selecting your superstar, you have your career superstar and you have your superstar. So say the Undertaker is a 93 overall. If you go to career Undertaker, he might be like a 26. So you could take the reins with him and you could boost him up to 100, and then you could play with him in regular exhibition games. So,
which is cool, because it's like being able to take, literally putting you in the driver's seat of your favorite wrestlers.
You control like every aspect of this game, which is what I love. Now, every month there's a pay-per-view, and before the pay-per-view there's a 4-week build on the TV shows. You have 4 different types of storylines. You could do a title defense where you are the champion. you start as the champion. You could do a title challenge where you qualify for a title shot and you're working towards the chase for that belt. You could do the Divas collection where you're not a diva. You try to win the heart of a diva. I specifically remember these cutscenes. They were creepy in the shower. It was very awkward. And then
We're talking about more creepy stuff that they do later.
And then you just have your normal storyline, and all these story arcing matches have different outcomes, different cutscenes for main event matches. You can make partners, do interviews, promos. There's actual stories where like run-ins happen. You could be friends with Rey Mysterio and feud with Rene Dupree. You could join Evolution. It's kind of endless of what you could actually do in this story, and it's hard for us to give a definitive like overview of it when it ends up culminating in WrestleMania 20 where you're against one of Vince McMahon's like cronies.
So, the more we talk about it and the more I think about it, the cringiness of this game is just...
But this was the market in 2004. Like, this is what they catered to.
I know.
Like, it was a different, edgier time. We were right outside the Attitude Era here. Only a couple years removed.
I know.
John Cena was
weird,
smacking Stephanie McMahon's butt on television at this time.
Bra and panty matches were still a thing. Wow.
Anyway,
it gives you a great appreciation of how far we've come.
Thank God.
I'm happy that we've moved away from this.
Yes. Let's talk about the unlockables now, because we already mentioned the unlockable roster, but there's also experience points. Move sets. So say like Jeff Hardy's not in this game. Oh, that's
always the best.
His move set's in here, guys. Don't worry. You can make Jeff Hardy. You can make Brock. You can make Goldberg. They're all in here.
You go on like Game Facts and like okay, move set number 17 is whose move set? Okay, great. That's Jeff Hardy. Cool. I want that one.
And it's all still there.
Pick that one. I love it.
I saw it all yesterday. It's all still there. You can make Rob Conway if you want. Now the attires you can unlock is an.
Can I get Fifi? Can I put Fifi the poodle in the game too?
I wrestled Rene Dupree once.
That's a story for another time.
Oh boy, yeah, it is. Your attires you could unlock is an alternate for John Cena and bra and panties for the Divas. And now also you could unlock load screens for the Divas. So when you log into this game, it's asking you if you like Raw or if you like SmackDown. And on the side of the menu, all it is one of the Divas just kind of dancing to the music. So whether you're Raw or SmackDown, it's one of those Divas from the roster dancing. So now you could unlock them in towels doing the same dances. Why? I don't know, but
because 2004, that's why.
But it's in here. And you could also unlock more load screens of Divas because who wants to look at Mark Jindrak's abs? But let's talk about these character models here because it's very similar to Here Comes the Pain. I don't think much was improved. Kind of still like clunky, like the way the belts are, the way like some of the attire fits, but overall, this is kind of as best as it got on PlayStation 2.
It's not bad at all.
I thought like the PlayStation games looked way better than obviously the GameCube titles if you're going to compare to like WrestleMania 19 or X8, but these are similar to Day of Reckoning, but very, very clearly better. The likenesses are unreal.
I was gonna say like the thing that I noticed during our playthrough, and I even remember this as a kid, like if you hit big moves that would I guess initiate commentary, the crowd reacts to the moves that you do. Like they would move, like they're always moving, but they would move differently and faster in reaction to the move that you hit, which I thought was cool because it, it's like what happens now in the games and, how it was in real life. You hit your finisher, you hit a big move, you put someone through a table, you jump off the top rope, like people react to it. So it was cool to have that kind of interaction and responsiveness in a crowd.
Gotta love the crowd. I
gotta say though, I was very surprised with how good the graphics were. Like for some reason, I guess in my head, PlayStation 2 games didn't look great, but this looks amazing. I was very surprised by how well this held up.
Yeah, it looked very good. I would just say that the presentation overall was just kind of dark.
Yeah, agree with that. 100%.
Very dark presentation. It wasn't like that. Like if they're trying to emulate TV, it really wasn't that bad, I would say. But overall, really good. I think the screen itself was a little crowded with the gigantic health bars up top and your finisher bar. But I mean, what else do you want for 2004? This was great.
Yeah, can't ask for anything better. So what do you say we hop in and talk about this artwork here in terms of the packaging?
I love this packaging. This is iconic here. The Raw and SmackDown logo, SmackDown versus Raw, and then you have Vince McMahon's face with a red eye under Raw and a blue eye under SmackDown. I don't think it could get better than that. It's not even his whole face, and you just know it's Vince McMahon. But the part that tickles me a little bit, obviously the THQ logo, the old one, and the online broadband only logo.
You had to have that little adapter to plug into the back of your PlayStation if you had the earlier models, and then later on that
Slim.
Was
I got the Slim.
I think I still have the little piece, the little
adapter
cartridge on the back.
Now, the back cover here, we have two worlds collide. We have a beautiful picture of Bret Hart with the sharpshooter on Shawn Michaels. We have Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson staring each other down in their underwear. Online, compete from coast to coast. All new challenge mode, go toe-to-toe with Bret Hart, Andre the Giant, and more. And now you have match tactics, fight clean or fight dirty. Ignore the rules. You have JR and King looking on as Triple H wrestles an unnamed wrestler, throwing a punch at him. You have Create a Championship and Create a Pay-Per-View, where it shows John Cena slamming Randy Orton into the hood of a car, and a beautiful Smoking Skull vintage Intercontinental belt.
Now, here's another dated thing on the back.
I know exactly what you're going to point out.
Powered by GameSpy.
I remember that.
I miss GameSpy.
I remember going into like the online mode of this game and seeing Powered by GameSpy, but it never worked properly. It was probably the worst.
So GameSpy was also really big on PC, and it's how I used to play like Doom Online and Quake and Quake 2 and what a wonderful and dated sentence that is.
Yeah. Yeah, but George, did you know?
Did you know? Hidden on the disc are unused announce files, which indicate that the roster was once planned to include Goldberg, Ultimo Dragon, Brock Lesnar, Steve Austin, and several others.
Did you know WWE Smackdown vs. Raw is the first WWE licensed game to have online play?
Did you know a disc-only version of SmackDown vs. Raw is on eBay for roughly $13, while a brand new factory-sealed copy goes for $99?
Damn, that's a lot of stuff I didn't know, but let's talk about these removed superstars for a bit, because we have Billy Kidman, British Bulldog, Brock Lesnar, Cactus Jack, Eugene, the Basham Brothers, the Hurricane, Jackie Gata, Lita, Mick Foley, Ricky Steamboat, Rikishi, Sergeant Slaughter, Stone Cold, and Test.
Wow.
That's a lot of people removed.
Yeah,
this is probably about the time Stone Cold was not there. That's weird to say, but to have a WWE game without him, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's very strange.
So, wait, Stone Cold's not in this game, but WrestleMania 20, that whole match is just not in this game. Like, Brock Lesnar's not there. Goldberg's not here. Stone Cold's not here. Who was the referee? Like, that's what I was talking about, how quickly these games could go out of date.
Yeah, he's co-GM and Sheriff of Raw, 2003 to 2004.
Oh, that was so much fun. He used to just slide down the ramp on his desk chair.
On the the office chair. Now, so here's a fun thing to think about. Cut wrestlers in 2020. All these guys that we just listed out: Kidman, Bulldog, Lesnar, Cactus Jack, Eugene, the Bashams, Hurricane, Jackie Gata, Lita, Mick Foley, Steamboat, Rikishi, Sergeant Slaughter, Stone Cold, Test. Do you know what that is in 2020?
A very sad list.
That's a DLC.
Yeah. That's
100%. That's probably 2 to 3 DLC packs in 2020.
Yeah, DLC packs didn't exist yet, huh?
No,
Interesting.
2020 or in
Interesting.
2004. There's no DLC.
So I got to say,
Online on the PlayStation is barely a thing at this point.
Right.
You're playing SOCOM.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So I had this friend from eFetting, actually. His name was Seth. I'm still Facebook friends with him. I know Seth. Seth's a good guy. And he was like, dude, I got SOCOM 2. You should get it. We should play. It's kind of old at this point. You just got the PlayStation. So I got the Slim. I'm so excited to plug it into the Ethernet cable. I go to GameStop in the Sunrise Mall, or maybe it was even EB Games at that time. Could have been. And I buy SOCOM 2. It was maybe $12. I bring it home. I'm like, all right, dude, ready to play. Let's go. Got a headset. I'm like, ready to play SOCOM 2. I plug it in. He's like, do you see online? I'm like, I don't see online. Like, there's no option. It just says play and options. He's like, no, it's right there. Like, do you see where it says online? I'm like, it's not here. So I popped the disc out of my PlayStation, and they sold me the PlayStation, the SOCOM 2 jacket with SOCOM 1 inside.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that completely like ruined my night. But I did go back like the following day and they swapped it for me, no problem. But that was just like that would never happen today, you know?
That's wow. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah, it could. That was my first ever like online PlayStation 2 experience. It wasn't an experience at all.
All right. Well, I think it's time, Johnny. I think we need to hop on over to some R&R for a little ratings and review.
Ooh, all right. You're looking a little tense. We haven't had this many good reviews in a while. So Metacritic gives this game an 80 out of 100, EGM with a 7.67 out of 10, Eurogamer with a 7 out of 10, Game Informer with an 8.5 out of 10, GameSpot with an 8.1 out of 10, GameSpy with a 4 out of 5 stars, GameZone with an 8.7 out of 10, IGN with an 8.4 out of 10, OPM with a 3.5 out of 5 stars, Videogamer.com with a 7 out of 10, XPlay with a 4 out of 5 stars, and Detroit Free Press with a 3 out of 4 stars. This game was also nominated but did not win for Best Fighting Game of 2004 at the Spike Video Game Awards. It also received a Platinum Sales Award from the Entertainment and Leisure Software Publishers Association, indicating sales of at least 300,000 copies in the UK. That is more copies than WWE 2K20 sold within 6 months, I would say. Whew. Now, these are all really, really great ratings. I don't see how this game would have got a bad rating since it's basically just an upgraded version of Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true. I can't imagine. I don't know. My brain struggles to find how we went from this, where the lowest rating on this is a 7, and then years later, 2K20 happens. Like how do we fall so far?
Too much. They're just trying to do too much. Scale it back.
Hurts a lot.
Won't kill you to have someone accidentally fall off the Hell in a Cell every once in a while.
All right. Well, looking at the time here, John, and do you happen to know what time it is?
I think it is 1/2 time to rate the games.
The game!
All right, George Feast.
All right. You're going to take it?
I'm going to take
start
it.
us off this week?
I'm going to take it. SmackDown vs. Raw. Will you play it forever?
Woo!
Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
I mean, if you take into consideration that, and then plus that, subtract the 1, and get the square root. It's play it forever.
Woo!
All right, I kind of figured that as much.
And what about you, Mr. Clash, my partner in podcasting? Are you going to play it forever or future endeavor?
I was very close to saying future endeavor, I'm not going to lie, because Here Comes the Pain, in my opinion, is the greatest PlayStation wrestling game to ever exist. And I kind of felt like the grappling system I wasn't a big fan of, But then you have to look at the story. You have to look at the pay-per-view, the create a wrestler, create a belt, everything that was added to what was already the greatest game ever, and you have to say play it forever.
100%.
So that is my rating, plus the nostalgia of, like I told you, the story about beating it at my uncle's house, and this is one of my favorite eras for like a game roster. And if I like Day of Reckoning, I gotta like this because this is way better, so play it forever.
All right. Well, with that, I do believe it is time for us to talk about our weekly tournament that we call Clash at the Feast. All right, Johnny, take us through this week's Clash at the Feast.
All right, so first we're going to apologize for the technical difficulties in our video because we announced we were going to do a Hell in a Cell match, and we had some problems with the actual Hell in a Cell match loading up because, you know, we have a very old gaming disc here, and we decided to
May have been some smudges.
Yeah, so we decided to stick with the same wrestlers the entire time, do a little 3 stages of hell. I was Kurt Angle. George was The Undertaker. The first match was a hardcore match, and George took that one. Second match was a parking lot brawl. Johnny Clash took that one. Third match seemed to go on forever. It was a last man standing match. George just completely dominated. I got hit with maybe 9 tombstones, 7 last rides, and I couldn't even hit one finisher. For your winner this week, going up 2-0 in the month of November, George Feast.
Just really good at video games, John.
See, I was nice. I didn't complain.
I know. I'm proud of you.
Kind of teed you up all nicely. I made a nice little presentation. Then you,
that was
really good at video games.
Listen, it's been a while since I've said it. You usually mock me when you say it, so I just wanted to say it. I haven't said it in a long time.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us what we will be playing next week?
Well, we are going back to that tried and true new fun system that we've developed here in year 2, where I am going to give you 3 or 4 consoles, and you are going to pick the console, and then I'll tell you what game we're playing.
Already, I'm not playing the Neo Geo Pocket.
Okay, well, it's not on there.
Okay, great.
So your options for this week is the Sony PlayStation,
Okay.
the Sega Genesis, the Neo Geo Pocket. No, just kidding. The Super Nintendo. And that's it. We're going to go 3 this week. So you have the PlayStation, the Sega Genesis, or the SNES.
I'm going with the Sega Genesis.
Okay. I don't know what this game is.
Oh, no.
But next week,
I was going to say we played all the WWF games already for it.
We are playing Thunder Pro Wrestling Retsuden. It is a Japan exclusive. And I don't know how to say this, John. I think it has the Super Brawl camera angle.
Oh. Okay, so you mean like the Fire Pro camera angle, but not as good.
It's higher.
Oh God!
I think it's higher than this.
I don't know why.
Fire Pro.
I don't know why. I know why, but I don't know why you do this to us. But okay.
I mean, we have to play. We have to play all the games.
I'm ready. Hey, at least this one has a Wikipedia page. Oh boy! All right. With that, why don't you put a bow on it? This was a fun episode. I really enjoyed this. Why don't you take us home?
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Please check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod. It is the best way besides listening to support the podcast, and be sure to follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe wherever great podcasts can be found. Do not forget, join our Discord. Donate to Gameboree. This is for a great cause, Gameboree. It's probably one of the best things that Johnny and I get to do all year. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, social distance. We'll see you next week. And Johnny Boy, say goodbye.
Game over. Marks.
I'm gonna go play Spider-Man.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.